So what exactly is it I mean when I talk about the care contradiction? So what I've found is when your child is in a tier 4 CAMHS unit, that there are often very much a contradiction in expectations of how you behave as a parent. To explain this, what I mean is, to some elements, you're expected to let go of your responsibility. You're supposed to, loosen those constraints that you used to have with your parenting and allow somebody to come in and take over. That's really difficult. That is so tough. I'm very grateful for the people that are looking after my daughter at the moment, but it has been very, very difficult to let go in some respects. In others, you're almost expected to parent harder. How to explain? So, you're parenting, whereas you might have only given it so much thought previously. You're constantly thinking about it now. You're constantly thinking, am I behaving in the best way for the recovery? Am I making the right choices for them? Am I performing the best I can to aid with the recovery? Are the things that I'm doing wrong that are making them second guess the safety and all kinds of strange things? It's all very much a contradiction. It's very, very tough sometimes knowing where your place is in the system, or even if you're part of the system or outside of it. This has proved very, very tricky. So it's like, for example, us parents, and if you're in the same situation as me, probably still have a full-time job as well. So not only do you have this whole experience of a child in one of these settings going on, but you also have your life outside of it as well. And there are so many meetings to attend, so many meetings, so many sessions. You have family therapy, you have CPA meetings, you have weekly meetings with consultants, and they are all at different times of the day. Now, lucky for me, I have a very, very compassionate employer who wants me to be in my job, so has allowed me to have certain flexibility that has allowed me to do this. However, it's difficult. It is, because it's not always flexible. These appointments aren't always flexible, and we do have to kind of manage our own hours that we work to try to keep your job, but also to attend these meetings. And I do feel like there is a certain stigma attached if you don't attend in person and if you dial in. That could be me. I could be being very paranoid. That could just be me being hard on myself, thinking, do they think that I don't care because I've not turned up in person? But I am, I suppose, one of the lucky ones. I only live in Wigan and my daughter is in Manchester, which on a good day is about a 45-minute drive, 40 minutes, 45 minutes. On a bad day can be anything up to an hour and a half. But I know that there are some families that are also based up in the north, and they've had to take a place down south because that's the only place they could get a bed. So I appreciate I am one of the lucky ones. However, yeah, it's a job in itself. There's a lot of admin, you'll know, that goes with it too. A lot of caring, actual caring. You have meetings about kind of like sensory profiles and cognitive profiles. And so that's what I mean, in the sense that you're expected to let go, and yet you're also expected to delve deeper as a parent than you probably ever would have done if your child was not in this situation. So it is a contradiction. So, there are lots of feelings are attached to this then. For example, you kind of feel like you're leading a double life. I do feel like that. I have a lovely home, and I have a partner and, a family. Obviously, I have another daughter as well. And they also need my care too. They need my presence, not just physically, but emotionally as well. And it is difficult sometimes when, if you have a visit that doesn't go well, to not bring that home and let it seep into your life outside as well. It is difficult. There are lots of blurred lines, and it can impact you as a family. So we've been having a great few weeks, like we really, really have. I felt like my daughter has been in a much better place mentally than she has been for a while. She is on a very high dose of antidepressants for a child her age, and I think that they're starting to kick in. No signs of eating yet or showing an interest in eating. She's not attempting her food goals still. but one step at a time, I suppose. We are trying to put some rewards in place that she's interested in, but at the moment, there is no reward greater than not eating food to her at the moment, sadly. But in other ways, home visits have been lovely. She seems happy and settled when she comes back. She's not been in any rush to get back to the ward. She's reintegrating back into life outside of the ward, which is fantastic, and it's all we could have ever wanted. I wanted to know that her home is here. Her pictures are up on the wall. She has her own bedroom here. For context, I moved house while she was in there. So this is, even though it's a new house to her, she has her place within it, and we always let her know that. And obviously then she has to go back to the ward and to live her life there too. And now it started to make sense to me, actually, that I remember there were a couple of ladies that commented in a Facebook forum that I was in saying, my child won't see me, they keep sending me away, I don't understand it, we had such a close relationship before. And I did say, hang fire, because I had this as well. When she first went into the ward, I'd say for a good 4 months, she was dreadful during visits. She would throw us out all the time or tell us not to come, but we always did. We tried to keep that consistency up, but she would send us away constantly. And I was heartbroken. I thought, I've lost my relationship with her. What has happened? How have I gone from having this such close mother-daughter bond to her not wanting me here? And now I see it as it actually was. And I think that what that was her, I suppose it's like when somebody goes to prison and they say, I don't want any visitors, I don't need to see me in here, I just need to get on with it. And I think it was like that. There was a lot of depersonalisation that went on, and she isolated herself from her family because I think she needed to focus on just being in this cosmos that was the ward and not real life. And it was only when she started to feel cognitively better because she was getting refed, she was getting weight restored, that she was able to then cope with concepts of family coming from the outside in. We have noticed with her having autism that she struggles to visualise life outside of where she is. So it is difficult to make plans with her and to give her too much notice on things because she doesn't handle that very well. So, like I said, we'd had a great few weeks, and then on Sunday, she was told no to having personalised NG tube tape because she bought some from Etsy, and she said it makes her feel more comfortable with wearing the NG tube. And with agreement from the ward and obviously her dad, we said, but we don't want you to feel comfortable with having that. It's not a fashion accessory. It's not something that we want you to want to have. And so we don't think that you should have this tape. And yeah, it didn't end well. And she called me the C word. I am still horrified. I'm not laughing at it. It's horror. I've never let my children swear. Don't get me wrong. Since she's been in there, she's hanging around with 16 and 17-year-olds that have got beef with everyone. And she has started to come out with the odd expletive that she wouldn't have got away with if she were at home. But she called me that, and I was on FaceTime to her. And, this is where the parenting kicks in. So even though the staff sometimes they tell me I need to pick my battles, at the same time, I do not want her to become an arsehole while she's in there, because she's going to have to, at some point, come out, go back into society. And I have not done her a favour if I've let her behaviour deteriorate to this. And that's nothing to do with autism. That is a behavioural thing. So I took her phone off her for 24 hours. I've given it back to her dad to take to her tonight, but she needed to learn consequences. And then when I spoke to her today, she was very apologetic. She said, I shouldn't have said that to you. You didn't deserve that. And so that is my parenting at play there. Even though I'm told to pick my battles and maybe, don't be too hard on her over certain things, I still think that it is my right and my job as a mum to put boundaries in place, even though sometimes I don't feel like I'm given the authority to do so or the space to do so, if that makes sense. But anyway, I know best because I'm mum. So I did, and it's paid off. So yes, these are the contradictions that can happen when your child is on a Tier 4 ward. Let me know your experiences. It's been great. I've loved having some messages from you because it's a very lonely place, and I don't often think you come across other parents in these wards either. I certainly don't. I don't know if it's that we're kept apart or it's just the way that it works out, but I'm very, very keen to hear other people's experiences, and if they're anything like mine, do let me know. Thank you.